here we already live. So hello everyone. This is our Just a Conversation live shows that we are trying to stream, but always it's not always going to all the platforms, but we're trying to stream to LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and sometimes TikTok. Depends on somebody's mood, obviously, who is in charge of algorithm. So today I have a different co-host, and she is Pilar, and she's co-guest and not co-host, guest co-host, because our ordinary or usual Dr. Joyce, she's doing El Camino road, and probably Pilar, you will tell me more about that road because it's somewhere in Spain, obviously. But so today, again, without Dr. Joyce, because she's walking her pilgrimage walk, I have Pilar, and she will introduce herself in a minute. And today we are asking a simple question. Well, all questions are simple until they are not. And that question is, would you want to work for you? And as I said, most businesses, we had a bit of a conversation in Pillar before, most business owners, especially if we are solopreneurs, we spend a lot of time thinking about how should we lead the customers, clients, maybe employees, future employees, teams. And then we rarely have time to think, how do we need to lead ourselves? So, Pilar, introduce yourself. Stage is yours, and then I will ask you one question.
Okay.
So go ahead. Stage is yours.
Well, thank you. First of all, thanks to you and to Joyce to ask me to co-host this occasion, and I'm really excited to be here. To be honest, so a bit of who I am. I'm a leadership coach, and I'm focused on first-time managers. I train them and I coach them into being the great leader that they're supposed to be, basically, because normally they left on their own after a promotion, great at your job. Now you lead the team, sort it out yourself. So I'm the one who comes in and just helps them and gives them the confidence. So yeah, I'm in Cambridgeshire, and I'm in the UK, like Joyce, but of course she's in Scotland. I'm in Cambridgeshire. And as you can hear from my accent, I'm Spanish.
Well, yes, we can hear your accent, but you know what? Not everybody picks the accents.
No.
My accent is from, people say Eastern European, but I'm not very good with picking accents. But yes, when you said now, yes, now I know that, and of course, I knew that you are from Spain. Barcelona, is it?
Yes.
You were based in Barcelona. You were born in that region. So that's it. So you are very welcome, and thank you for agreeing. And I know that you have your parents visiting you, and you still committed. So that shows a lot about the person. As I say, and it's not my saying, but somebody said that in the internet, that how you do one thing, that's how you do everything. So you showing up here when you have other arrangements, it's a great sign of your quality. So I am pleased and honored to have you. And of course, we wish Dr. Joyce to walk that El Camino way or road, whatever it's called, with peace and whatever she's looking. She may find it, except the snakes, because she was worried about the snakes, which I would be as well.
I'll be more worried about the blisters than the snakes.
Here you are. I think that's more important. So anyway, come back to our topic. So our topic was, as I already mentioned, would you want to work for you? And when I shared this topic with you, Pilar, what was your first reaction when you heard this question? What was your first reaction?
I think it was like, should I be my own boss? Like, would I be comfortable having someone like me as my manager, my boss, head of department, whatever, someone giving me orders? And that made me think a lot. Like I actually have a lot of reflections here about all these, because that really triggered a lot of questions.
Exactly. When I came up with this, and then I looked at that question, I thought, yeah, great question. But then it's something, sort of, I don't know what's the description of that feeling. I was like, the first answer was I probably wouldn't work for myself.
Really?
To be honest, yes, because in my line of work, I have this, system. Then when I guide my clients through it, one of the foundational questions that we need to reflect on is, who do you need to become to live your business vision or your life
Mhm.
vision? Because business and life for solopreneurs are very, line is blur.
Yeah.
So actually, would I work for myself? I probably would not, because I'm still not that version that that's supposed to live in my vision. And I can share, and it's nothing to do that it's nothing to do about being a victim or under appreciating yourself. But when you look from that perspective, when
Mhm.
you sort of think outside the box,
Yeah.
that saying.
Yeah.
I looked at myself and I would say, like, okay, I sometimes I'm not very I do not communicate with myself. I do not give the right guidance. I expect myself to do everything, on the spot.
Mhm.
These qualities, I think, I would have a difficulty working with me. So, and because
See.
it gave me as well the food for thought to think what kind a boss am I or could be if whenever I will have employees. So now I will ask as well, what kind of boss, if you would have employees, what kind of
Mhm.
boss you would be, Pillar? Like, would you encourage your employees, and including yourself now, because we're talking about us,
Mhm.
yourself, um, to celebrate wins, or you constantly criticize yourself? Many
Mhm.
of us do that.
Yeah.
um, how do you speak to yourself? And if
Mm.
you would be a boss, how do you speak to others? Do
Yeah.
you speak from above, like looking down on people, or you speak on the same level? Questions like that, and I reflected on them. I
Yeah.
have as well a notebook, but I'm not going to share because my notebooks are a mess. I need to sort them and say, for example, so would you enjoy working with yourself? So these are questions, and I know, Pilar, you have a vast experience, and I attended a couple of your talks, keynote talks, and I know that you speak about new managers. But whenever I listen to you, it's actually I can take everything and apply to myself.
Mhm.
So I want you to share a bit, this, how do we speak to people? Uh, the same, how do we speak to ourselves, and do we celebrate each other?
Mhm.
And what do we need? What do we need if we are that manager, if we are that boss? What do we need to know before leading people into their managerial role or whatever role they are?
Mhm. Yeah.
So if you just can reflect on that, I know it's a lot, and
It is.
bear in mind that we have just 30 minutes,
Yes.
even less, so we cannot go
No.
everywhere. But to, like, give us a bit of your experience, and how do you see things like that? And you can talk about employees
Mm.
and new managers, and then everybody can take that. I'm sure can take that and apply in solopreneurship journey as well.
Yeah, I think everything can be applied, and that's such a deep question, and I think I guess I have a bit of like a sneak peek into how it is, because I help first time managers to become better managers. So I have all this program, etc. So I have done my research, and also in my career I have worked with really good managers, but also really bad ones. So I always thought, like, I always make the reflection of, I want to be like you. I don't want to be like you. And I feel that, for example, the way like you speak to yourself, you mentioned like how you speak to yourself. I think it has changed a lot in the last few years, to be honest. When I left my corporate job a couple of years ago, as soon as there was a mistake, I used to beat myself up. Like, oh, how can you be so stupid? Like, how can you be so incredibly dumb that you're doing that mistake? And now it's like, of course I pick myself up, or if something doesn't come up as well as, but I learned a bit on self-management, thanks also to creating a program.
Mhm.
And I try to take a step back. It's like, okay, if I'm sad, if I'm angry, I'm going to allow myself to be angry. whatever long it takes, don't talk to me. And, the people I live with is like, don't talk to me, I will come to you, And once all this anger or sadness or mix of everything is over or is starting to get lower, then it's when I sit down and I evaluate. It's like, okay, what actually went wrong? Like, let's be specific. Instead of saying I'm dumb, let's try to understand what actually went wrong, because I'm sure that not everything went wrong. I'm sure that a lot of things went right. So what actually went wrong, and what's within the things that went wrong, what's in my power? What can I control? And I try to narrow it down. So I feel that, of course, I will be work in progress. Everyone is a work in progress as a leader. But if I had a team, I think I have now, I didn't have them a year ago or 2 years ago. I have the tools on how to create that psychological safety around the team. But of course, I will have to apply it. So that can be, that's also like, okay, let's gather the team and see what they think. Like I would never say I will be a great boss, but I think that I have improved in the last 12 months, to be honest, in the sense that I don't speak to myself the same way. I celebrate my wins, and if there's something wrong, well, I have a tantrum, an adult tantrum, like I call them, and then I will just move on.
I totally agree with you. And of course, if you are, say, for example, a solopreneur, so this inner work, I call it inner work, but it evaluation, whatever happens, reevaluation of your learning experience or mistake. I called it an inner work. So
Mm,
usually, it's never ending story.
yeah,
That's we are always the work in progress in any position.
yeah,
And I think what is good about you, and I noticed that you are open to have communication if you will have your team, and when you coach teams of new managers, you have that in you, that you say, yes, I'm open to suggestions.
mm,
I have my coaching structure, I have my framework, but not everything on my framework fits you, so what do
yeah,
you want? So that could easily be applied in any situation.
mhm,
And we then, of course, another thing you mentioned, when you make a mistake, yeah, we'll beat ourselves. But then you said you sit down, and after all these emotions go away, not go away, but we just let them go. And then we think and we collect evidence, not based on feelings.
yeah.
But we collect evidence. And as you said, there is even if we made a total mess up, there is something good in that. I believe in that. Do you believe in that?
Yeah, 100%. I always thought that, not always, but lately in the last few years since I started my business, I realized that there's no failure. Like failure only exists when you fall and you don't get back up. That's a failure. But if you learn something from that, that's not a failure. That's just a learning opportunity. That's it. Something went wrong, yes, but you got something good out of it. And next time you're gonna get it better. You know, it's
Absolutely.
it's always work in progress. Like they say that success is 999 mistakes and one thing that went right.
Yeah.
And you know,
That's very true. But again, if we now move a bit to expectations that we put
mm,
on ourselves, and then, of course, through our beliefs and through our inner filters, then we put these expectations to others. So, as business owners,
mm,
solopreneurs, we often expect ourselves to do everything. We wear so many hats.
yeah,
And then when we think we are unproductive, for example, we sort of treat that as well as a failure,
mm,
because there are so much noise outside. You look at social media, everybody's so productive that honestly, sometimes I sit and think, Jesus Christ, and I feel guilty when I watch my Star Trek
yeah,
or Stargate. But I
yeah,
need to watch these shows because they're important to me.
yeah,
So, but on the other hand, if we now planning to have employees and we put these expectations on self, so would you
mm,
expect an employee to work 24/7 like we sometimes expect
oof,
from ourselves? That's a question came to me as well. So
yeah,
would we expect the same from other people? And some do, like I think, especially in some cultures, but what is your insight about this? If
Mm,
we have some super high achievers expectations on ourselves, would we
mhm.
also expect other people to behave the same?
I hope not.
Jesus.
I hope not. I wouldn't know because I haven't really worked with someone, but I think I've been an employee all my life, and on one of my last jobs, basically, I'm not gonna say where, I worked with someone above me who was a workaholic, like not 24/7, but nearly, like all the time working. Work was always the priority. His family was always taking the breadcrumbs, and I was I was I was seeing that this person was trying to kind of force that into the team, like you always had to be available. A Saturday at 4 p.m., you had to be available. At Friday at 6 p.m., after you finish, you have to come back to work, things like this. And I remember thinking, that's just your life choice, not mine. Leave me alone. I'm not going to force you to do what I want to do. So don't force me. It's like, no, your choice is that. My choice is to get home and watch Stargate,
Yeah.
and that's it. Or to go to the gym or to meet a friend, or, the thing is that when you're the business owner, is very different from an employee. An employee is exchanging the time and the skills for money.
Yeah.
And that's something that we need to have very clear. It's like it needs to be very clear, but sometimes it's not, and sometimes we mix things, or we expect them to be more available than they should be. And I hope whenever I have employees that I'm not that kind of manager. I hope that I'm the kind of person who understands, and only contacts them when it's something extremely urgent, like this contract didn't come out. Why didn't come out? Because it was
Mm.
your responsibility. But other than that, I want to think that it wouldn't be like that. But of course, once you're in the boiling water, sometimes you can see the bubbles.
Absolutely. And I think, we can now a bit cover the topic of, having high standards.
Mm,
It's always good, because
yeah,
it sets some sort of a blueprint how we operate. But sometimes those high standards gives us a totally unnecessary pressure.
yes,
And what I think it's like definitely very very bad from my personal experience. When you put your high or my own high standards, I put them on others as well, not just myself.
yeah,
So on others as well, but again, everybody is different,
yeah,
and especially now when we discover that some people have neurodiverse backgrounds as well. So we all different. And
hmm,
I, j- I used to have somewhere on my computer saved this picture of, and I'm sure you would know that image as well. When is there a fish? There's like fish,
hmm,
monkey, and something else, and the manager it tells them climb into the tree, something like that,
ah,
and of course, they cannot climb it because fish cannot climb in the tree.
of course,
Monkey easily, and the bird, I think, was an eagle, like literally can just shoot, and
yeah,
he's in the tree. So that always some sort of stays in me. I can have high standards, but I should not expect other people to have the same standards as I do.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what do you think, like when we are solopreneurs, do you think being perfectionist,
Mm,
does it help us, or does it a bit derail us
mm,
from
mm,
from actually, every day, or
yeah,
even our vision? Because if I'm perfectionist and I have totally high standards, and there's nothing wrong with that, but if I cannot then make a decision because I don't think this plan or this contract is perfect, then
hmm,
what I'm doing, I probably then in a paralysis state.
yeah. Paralysis by analysis, they say, right?
Whatever, yeah, that's that. But it's actually very good expression.
But yeah, I think it's being a perfectionist can be I'm not saying it can be a good thing, but it can help to get high standards. The problem is when you're trying to get, instead of 10 out of 10, you try to get a 12 out of 10. How can you get a 12 out of 10? And perfectionism also is a great excuse to procrastinate, because that's our brain saying, oh, because this is not perfect, we're not going to do it. And sometimes something done is better than something perfect. And
Exactly.
I learned that the hard way, really, like trying to do things, up to the best standard, every comma, every, the pantone of my logo has to be exactly like this. And that has actually made me lose hours and hours of work that I could have invested in something much more productive. And I really like the analogy that you used about the fish, the monkey, and the eagle, because everyone has different skills. So
Exactly.
why do you ask, if you ask the monkey to swim, probably the monkey is going to drown, but the fish is going to
Yeah.
thrive.
Exactly. Yeah, I
So,
think I need to find that image. I need to find that image somewhere because that was from the old books when I studied in college. It was one of the books, human resource, whatever, and it was very. I think that the image was very good, and we can use that as well as you just said. We all have different skills. So when we are going or when we are working with the team or when we have employees, so what is the advice now? What do we need to look for? We need to create this team. If say we need a team for some certain project. So
mm,
is it better to have similar skills or to have different skills so this project can move forward?
mm,
What would your be insight on it?
it depends on the project, but I would say different skills can complement each other. Because if everyone knows how to code, for example, but no one knows how to talk to the team, we have a problem. We have a big problem. So I think having different skills, and not just different skills, but also being open to understand that you're not the expert on everything, because you get this, sometimes you get these people who think that because their domain is here, they know everything else. It's like, no, just be open that you're the expert here, but you're a learner on the other side. When you see a team where they can be helpful with each other, when they can say, I need help without anyone saying, it's it's just the next level. You can have the team with the best experts in the world, but if they don't communicate with them, if they just experts in their own field, but they actually don't know how to do things together, how to collaborate, how to teamwork, how
Yeah.
to learn from each other, you just have, you know, a team of great experts working individually instead of working in a project.
Totally. And you know what? Now you just mentioned, that communication. I think I would have a huge challenge if I would have now a team of people working for me. That would be challenging for me to be that
Really?
point of bringing these people together. Because I'm telling you, like from my cultural background and from my corporate work, I was like giving orders. And
Mm,
I remember once at one meeting, networking meeting, because Pilar and I, we go to networking meetings together, sometimes the same. And you ask this question. I probably will not say letter by letter, but something like that. Did you ever have, like, did you have a bad manager? Something
yeah.
like that. Remember? And so I immediately thought I was that manager.
Oh.
And it's like honest truth, but this is how I look at it now. I can learn from that, but I just was giving orders. I just expected everybody to do what they needed to
Mhm.
do
Yeah.
without asking them, or even without, to be honest, without even knowing can they do it. Like i
Okay.
just I just that was years ago. I never thought about that. And then when you asked that question and something came out, and I was like, oh my god, I need to work on that. But
Mhm.
even today, Pillar, if I would have a team that I need to manage, I think I would have a bit of challenge there, because I would just have challenge with communication.
Okay.
how to communicate with all these people, so they are united by the main vision, by ultimate vision, whatever that project they has,
Mhm.
by the one intention. I think I would have, I cannot say that I would for sure, because I
Yeah.
was not lately involved in any project like this, where I was in charge, because I'm solopreneur, so I work for
Mhm.
myself. But I
Yeah.
think
Same.
I think I would have a challenge. So being a leader, before before even we will have we have employees, so we will work with the teams. What do we need to pay attention to? What is that? That term self leadership. How
Yeah.
would you explain that self leadership? I think that's very important to all of us, not
Mhm.
even in work, in family setting as well. Somebody
Yeah.
needs to be that leader. So how do we address that self leadership perspective?
It starts with self-management, really. Self-awareness. Self-management comes after. But first you need to be very aware of who you are, what you do, what are your limits. And I think it's great that you say that when you were a manager, you were just directing, and because that's awareness. And loads of managers are not aware of that. And that's what makes you wonder and question, how can I do it better? And after knowing all that, that's when you can start managing yourself, and knowing, how do I react in this situation? And what's the team's reaction to my reaction? Because sometimes there's a clash in there. I think the basics, if you right now, if tomorrow you were giving a project and they would tell you you have these 5 people, different backgrounds, different expertise, you just have to manage them. I think the first thing you could do is sit down with them and ask them, how do you like to communicate? What's
Mm,
your best way to communicate? Like, instead of just assuming, because a lot of managers assume. And I had a client some time ago who was like, just promoted, oh, I have this training program that is great for my team and I think they're gonna love it, and blah blah blah, and and she was so excited. And I was like, did you actually ask them if they want to do this training? Because maybe they're interested in something else that is also available. And she had to stop and think, okay, yeah, I need to actually ask them. So sometimes I think that it's as simple as just sitting down with people and having a conversation like we're having now, and understanding what's the best way to communicate.
mm,
We did at the end, in some of us in Toyota, at the end of my stay there, or my corporate role in there,
uh-huh.
this model test, this model of
Oh,
communication.
this, yeah, yeah,
And
I
you have
noticed that.
4 colors: red, blue, yellow, green. And every color means a different way of communicating. Of course, not everyone is like, most people are going to have a range of colors, so it's going to have,
Yes.
but everyone has a dominant color. For example, the blue ones, if you have a blue boss, you need to present all the data, all the states, everything to that manager. If you have a red manager, it's going to tell you, what the hell is all those data and stuff? Just give me straight to the point. And it's great to understand how
Hmm.
your team works and how your team wants to communicate, because some people doesn't like small talk. And you just start, it's like, so how was your weekend? It's like, what do you want? I'm busy. So it's about understanding how you first communicate, and how you work, and how you manage yourself. And then once you understand that, communicate it to the team and make the team communicate it to you.
Hmm.
That's a great start when you have a project in your hands with a team.
That was very good tip as well, and I love that disc model. I
Mhm.
did the test myself. I think I am between red and blue, my dominant two
Oh wow.
colors. But I think I mix of everything. It depends on my mood.
Yeah,
But Pilar, nobody wakes up in the morning and thinks, today I will be the worst leader, or the worst
exactly.
business owner, or the worst whatever, the
Yeah.
worst mother, the worst friend. Nobody. And then life happens.
Yeah.
So life happens, and then we have to deal with that. And you already mentioned, do
Yeah.
not judge yourself, breathe through, reflect, and just see what you can learn from that. So we're about to finish. So I want to ask whoever will be watching this replay or maybe will join this video at some point. This question is for all of us. If you became your own employee tomorrow morning, and that's me and you, if you become your own employee tomorrow morning, what one thing would you ask your boss to change?
That's a
So
really good.
Pilar, what would you ask yourself, actually, because then you
Yeah.
are your own boss? So what would you ask to change?
Hmm. That's a really good question. Give me a second.
Well,
I
while you
know.
thinking, I can give them but like possible answers, or my answer would be, I think I would need to have a clearer boundaries.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like separate, and it's not easy for me. And I always say, oh, life and business are, like lines are blurry, and I create that story in my head. And
Yeah.
I think I would ask for clearer boundaries, because I cannot work 24/7, and I
Mhm.
sometimes do, because my brain is all, even if I watch Stargate
Yeah.
or Star Trek, my brain is still, in that working mode. So I would need clearer,
Mhm.
better boundaries, whatever is the expression. What would you ask yourself as a boss?
Mhm. I think the boundaries is really good as well because I'm the same. I work a lot. Like sometimes I wake up really early thinking I'm gonna have an early finish in the day, but never happens really. Like then I just work more hours basically. I think that's a good one. And I think another one is I plan a lot. I think I plan too much. There's a lot
Awesome.
of planning, a lot of planning. And then, of course, there's execution. But I keep on changing the planning. I keep on, I have to do lists everywhere. Um,
I know what
it's
you mean.
and it's always present. So I think that also links to those boundaries. It's like, okay, you love planning and you love executing straight away. There's something in the middle, like between the this has to be done and doing it. Let's ask ourselves, how are we going to do it in the most efficient way? And sometimes I miss that step. So I think that can be mine. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's actually very good. It could be anything, but
Yeah.
of course we picked the ones that are relevant to us. So
Yeah.
we about to finish. Thank you very much for participating in this just a conversation, and I hope Joy, she's doing well. She
Yeah.
said she will try to somehow send a video or something, but she didn't. I understand she's busy and
Yeah.
she needs to dedicate herself there. So just to finish, perhaps become a better leader doesn't begin with at that stage when you hire somebody.
Mm,
Then, like, usually we think then, I am a leader when I have somebody to lead. But I
mhm.
think that the good leadership begins the moment we start leading ourselves with the same respect, with the
Mhm.
same patience and encouragement that we would, offer that to our future team. So
Yeah.
I think this is very important to see whether definitely I would want to work for myself, and
Yeah.
if not, like I sort of answered. So I am going to reflect even more,
Mm,
because working for myself should be a priority and it should be
yeah.
fun. And if it's not, then obviously nobody will want to work for me. What is your final thought? And we will close. Taylor, thank you very much for today anyway, but give us one final sentence.
One final sentence. Manage yourself before you manage anyone else.
Amazing. So amazing. Yeah, very profound. So here you are, guys. We will see next time. We will see you next time, and it will be the last Thursday of September. Oh my God, this is the end of August
Mm.
now,
Oh,
and I know Joyce will be back, but Pillar, I think you will join us um, sometime in the future, just to
yeah.
share a perspective, different perspective
That would be great.
that you can bring to the table, and will become sort of just a conversation, lose woman style, just a
Yes.
conversation. So thank you everyone, and if you watched us, if you are going to watch the replay, enjoy, because this video has a lot of nuggets and you take what you need. Bye everyone.